Hi Jonas, here's the feedback on your IA first draft. If we start by looking at the diagrams here. Here you have a diagram. Remember to fully label it. Move the supply bit here over here. Make it a plus instead of it. Now it looks like it's supply minus the VAT. It's not. It's plus the tax. It shouldn't be arrows, just be lines. And then you're missing a line here because in order to be able to calculate the tax revenue from the government, you need to have the the supply line without taxes in order to be able to do that. So look up the diagrams in the book on taxes and revenue and tax revenue to see how it should be done. Other than that, the diagram is okay. The theory attached to it is fine. Then you have down here where you have a situation where you reduce the tax. I would make it so that the difference between the lines are bigger, because that makes the boxes down here a bit easier to deal with. Again, you need to have one more line. You need to have the supply line without tax, so that you have, like up here, so you actually know what the tax revenue is. Then when you lower the tax, then you have these different boxes here where the government loses some tax revenue, but they also gain a little bit of tax revenue because the sales are increased. So they now get a lower tax percentage, but they get the 12% of a bigger sale or bigger quantity. And it's important that you take that into your theory over here and says, so that you go over the diagram and says that they lose box A, for instance, and then they gain box C, as the diagram shows. They lose more than they gain, and so on and so forth, so that you analyze the situation into a bit more detail. So you need to have the supply curve without any taxes on both diagrams in order to be able to analyze it. If we then look at the second or third diagram down here, I'd recommend you make a simpler diagram without all the lines, so that you just have the demand is pushed downwards because it's a substitute product, and that the quantity is moved from out here to down here, so that you only have these two here without all the excess demand and stuff like that. Jump over that and go straight to the effect on the sales of new products. Then when you get to your end part down here, where you, for instance, say that the companies selling new machinery will suffer, then refer to the diagram that shows that this is so, that the sales of new products has dropped. In terms of the last part down here, where you ponder whether or not this is a good choice in terms of the opportunity costs, don't. We as economists do not do that. We only state the theory and the facts, and say that reducing the tax will lead to a drop in revenue for the state. Again, refer to the relevant diagram. So it would be a good idea here that you number your diagram, so you can refer to as seen in diagram 2 that the government loses blah 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 in terms of revenue, so that you can refer back to the diagrams when dealing with the theory down here. Now what we want to do is that we present the costs, and then we can say that with those costs that the revenue for the state goes down, then there's an opportunity cost, because that tax money could have been used for something else, which you also have. And then it's up to the politicians in this case to make the choice whether or not that's worth it. We can't, as economists, say anything scientifically on whether this is worth it or not. So we don't judge on that. That's up to the politicians. So you have a few things to work on in the diagram. I'd also recommend that you make the diagrams the same design. Same font type, same colors, and so on. And in this one here, make the demand line blue and the supply line red, like we usually do. And then in terms of the overall impression on the eye, it looks really good. There's a good structure, a good flow, a good appliance of theory, definitions and stuff like that. The link to the article is okay, but if you can find, especially down here in the last part here, if you can find a quote or two more, or a topic more that you could link to the article, that would be really good, so that you don't lose any marks on a moderator saying that the link to the article is not strong enough. So if I were you, I would look at the article again, and then again see if you can find something that will link it better to the article. But Jonas, that's it for the feedback. Good luck on writing the final draft.